And welcome to Super Tuesday, presented by Boost Mobile. This is the Big Ten on ESPN, and we've got a good one tonight here from Columbus, Ohio. Our matchup, the number 17 ranked team in the country, the Buckeyes of Ohio State, hosting the Indiana Hoosiers. And it's a good game, should be a competitive game. It's a big game for both teams. Indiana desperately needing wins to bolster their resume. Ohio State, one of the great surprise stories in the country, 9-1 in conference play. Hi everybody, Dave Fleming alongside Dan Dockett. We promise we'll play this one right down the middle. Dan, of course, who has ties to both programs, played for the Hoosiers of Indiana very famously, coached for Indiana as well. We've never seen that picture. I didn't even know you played head-to-head against Michael Jordan, but in the present day, your son Andrew has become a big part of this Ohio State program as well.
Yeah, he comes off the bench. He's a fifth-year transfer, but he's got some great teammates. Jason Tate, Keita Bates-Diop have been absolutely sensational. I told his mother, I said, look, he screws up, I'm ripping him. I told him, you make a turnover, you sleep in the garage, so what are you going to do?
A lot of pressure on young Andrew, and he does have some great teammates, including a guy who right now may be the best player in the Big Ten, and that's saying something.
I think he is. I think Keita Bates-Diop has been the best player in the Big Ten, averages 20 points a game in the Big Ten, 9 rebounds, block shots. When you watch Ohio State, one of the things that isn't talked about is their defense. They play terrific defense in the middle of the lane, and he's a big part of it.
And we'll see if the Buckeyes can bounce back from their first conference loss. Start of the year 9-0 in Big Ten play. Lost at the buzzer. Penn State played so well last weekend. They've had a few days to recover from that, get rested. Caleb Wesson, talented young freshman, uses the left hand against the first basket.
A great move, because Caleb Wesson is going against best player on Indiana and Juwan Morgan. Great move by Chris Holtman. They were throwing that ball in no matter what. Nobody was shooting a jump shot. That was going high-low, Tate to Wesson as soon as Wesson established position.
And speaking of bouncing back, Indiana played Purdue so tough at home on Sunday. Here's Roberts from the free throw line. That's the first bucket for the Hoosiers. But one thing that really hurt Indiana against Purdue, Isaac Haas and his ability to score and pass down low.
Well, Indiana had to make a choice. You got to pick your poison. They finally doubled him a little bit late. Haas was still able to make a play out of it. He just was terrific. Best player on the court was Isaac Haas.
Jason Tate having a really good year as a senior for Ohio State.
He plays right there. You see him going to his left hand. He plays in the middle of the lane.
Open jumper. McRoberts has made his first two.
He's the second best player in Indiana's team.
He is?
He is. He has been fantastic. Juwan Morgan's the best. I think Robert Johnson probably is a key, meaning if he scores, Indiana can play. But Zach McRoberts is guarding Bates-Diop. Zach McRoberts shoots the ball. He defends. He comes up with all the big plays. And this is a kid who didn't play basketball for a year.
Wesson down low.
You see right there, they tried to double Bates-Diop. Bates-Diop's too slick. He just has too much game.
That is, we'll talk a lot about Keita Bates-Diop tonight. Wesson, pretty nice play for the big man. He brings the ball up himself, but Bates-Diop, who's got it now, that all-around game, he can shoot, he can drive, he can dunk, he can pass, he can play defense.
Reminds me of Grant Hill. He just does everything smooth. There isn't any holes in his game. He can shoot as deep as you want. He can shoot around the basket. He can block shots. He can do that. No holes in his game.
Most of those shots have gone down for Bates-Diop. Missed most of last year with injury. There's Johnson, too strong. Back and forth action here in the early minutes from Columbus. Jason Tate double teamed. Indiana using that double team early in this one. Bates-Diop goes to the bucket and scores.
I'm telling you, I thought he would shoot the three. Hit 3 in a row against Penn State to eventually tie the game with 5 seconds to go, but he is so smooth. He makes basketball just look easy.
It almost looks like he's going slowly, and then he's at the rim.
Right.
Open three. That's the freshman Smith, who comes up way short. McRoberts, good hustle, but I'm not sure that helps Indiana, saving it in bounds. Advantage Ohio State. Cam Williams rushed it. Tip is good by Tate.
Hey, Cam Williams knew he missed it, yelled out. Tate got to the ball on the left side because Wesson had covered the right side. You don't block out Tate, you got a problem. Tate's terrific. He's been a leader. He's been a defender. Big time late game scorer. Not a shooter, just a player.
Josh Newkirk, Indiana needs more out of him.
Yeah, needs more out of him defensively, offensively, assists to the rim, you name it. They need more out of him.
Wesson with Bates Diop posting up against Johnson. That should be a mismatch. Finds the cutting Tate for the layup.
Tate is so smart. He did not stay. He could have stood at the foul line. Instead, he just sprinted to the front of the rim, and Bates Diop made it look easy.
That shot blocked by Bates Diop.
Bates Diop has made 5 really good defensive plays already in this half.
In the first 4 minutes, and Cam Williams hits the jumper. That's a 10-0 run for the Buckeyes. Ohio State's not been a quick starting team this year.
No, haven't been a quick starting team at all. And they've fallen down, and they make some moves later in the half.
Morgan, what's the call? No basket, offensive foul.
And there's Jason Tate. I'm telling you, they do as good a job, Ohio State does, of filling the middle between Tate, Wesson, and Bates Diop. They cover the middle. They play center field. Unbelievable.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by Boost Mobile.
Dave Fleming, Dan Dockich back here in Columbus, Ohio. Ohio State really has been one of the great stories in college hoops, I think, across the country. Picked 11th preseason in the Big Ten. They're 9-1, 1 game behind Purdue, right in the thick of the race. Certainly going to the NCAA tournament, have a chance to be a high seed and do some damage there. All with a first-year head coach. A lot of talent graduating and leaving the program. And the kids who are left have just come together beautifully.
Yeah, in a way, it's been addition by subtraction. Some of the kids that left were about themselves. You know, Jason Tate said after, I believe it was the Maryland game, this is the only team he's ever been on that didn't have any type of agendas or any type of egos. And so, you know, when you get that and you get a lot of talent, you have a chance.
That foul called against Bates Diop for pushing off to get the loose ball. That was good effort by Juwan Morgan.
Yeah, it really was. Juwan Morgan got up into Bates Diop. Bates Diop didn't pass fake. He just threw the ball, faked high, threw high. You can't fake high, throw high.
Chris Holtmann was the Big East Coach of the Year last year. I think he's going to be the Big Ten Coach of the Year this year. Certainly got a great argument. Al Durham came up short. The freshman misses the jumper. That is 7 straight possessions for Indiana without points. Tate pull-up jumper, no good.
You don't see that very often. Jason Tate usually doesn't settle. If he's going to shoot a jumper, it's normally going to be at the end of the clock. Right here, you cannot let Morgan get the ball. You can help off McSwain, but you cannot let Morgan sit in the post because McSwain's man should be there to help if you front Morgan.
And Juwan Morgan's having a spectacular year himself. Good pass, reverse layup from McSwain, no good. Morgan, though, cleans it up.
Morgan's been great. Morgan is a first-team all Big Ten player, maybe the most improved player in the country. Certainly he and C.J. Jackson, the point guard for Ohio State, are the 2 most improved players in the Big Ten. But Juwan Morgan has been not good. He's been great.
At times has carried Indiana. It has not been a really good offensive Indiana team.
It kind of lives and dies with Robert Johnson. And I like what Robert Johnson, or what I really like what Archie Miller did with Robert Johnson. Robert Johnson took a quick 3 and he just said, no, we're not doing that. I would expect a senior now in Robert Johnson to play and have a pretty good game.
Well, we recognize Andrew Dockich in the game for the first time, and he has often been the first man off the bench for Ohio State this year.
Yeah, they've given him a great opportunity here.
He was a walk-on at Michigan, your son, who basically never played.
Yeah.
I mean, he spent
his junior year, 2 years ago, he would get in every game for a few minutes in the first half. That's it.
And he's playing 17 minutes a game and really important minutes for a top 20 Ohio State team as a grad transfer. There's Andrew. Bates Diop 3. Potter, good hustle for the offensive rebound. Tate, offensive foul.
Boy, Jason Tate got a little excited. All he had to do was give it up. Good ball movement. Bates Diop, that's his spot. When you see Bates Diop miss from just off the right or left top of the key, something bad happened, because he does not miss those. Really good play here, but Jayshawn Tate just got a little excited. There's that guy, Zach McRoberts. I'm telling you, he does everything you want done as a coach.
Well, if he missed it a few minutes ago, Dan described him as Indiana's second best player. He averages 2.8 points a game.
It's amazing. I mean, it really is. It's absolutely amazing how good he has become. He makes every play. They keep him in for 35, 38 minutes in big situations.
Robert Johnson, you said it, to the bench quickly, but now back on the floor quickly again, and he's got it with the shot clock winding down. Andrew Dockich got a hand on it, and that forces the shot clock violation.
Yeah, Johnson was going to drive. Andrew Dockich got a hand in there, knocked it loose, left his man. Clock ran out. Pretty good defense by Ohio State.
Well, I think, Dan, part of the theme of this game, this is the first time that Indiana and Ohio State are playing. You got two first-year head coaches. There's Andrew with the good play you were talking about.
Well, you got two head coaches that, in theory, could be at either school. You know, Archie Miller was an assistant coach here. The Indiana job opened. They went after Archie Fred Glass, the athletic director. And then all of a sudden, later on, the Ohio State job opened. So it could have been the opposite, really. If the Ohio State job had opened first, I would assume that Archie Miller would have been the guy for Ohio State.
C.J. Jackson off the pass from Potter.
Potter's played great. Potter in limited minutes. He had 13 at Northwestern. He's come in the game, gotten a rebound, and made a great pass for a three.
Al Durham cannot make a three-point basket. He's a pretty good natural shooter. He has not. I don't think he's made one since December. That's a three from Devontae Green.
He hasn't made them either, but he is dangerous. Devontae Green is Danny Green's brother. If you're Danny Green's brother, I guarantee you can shoot. I promise you.
Well, we know Danny Green can shoot, and Devontae Green, it just does not make sense. You look at his numbers, he's shooting 26% from three for the year. Bates Diop backing his way in from the baseline, nifty move.
I'm telling you, he has an NBA game. He shoots the ball high. He carries it high like it's never below his waist. You can see Andrew Dockich is playing off Al Durham, begging him to shoot.
And that's the scouting report, right? He's not making shots from the outside. McSwain baseline, that's not really his game.
His game is around the basket. Again, Chris Holtman daring two guys to shoot. This is a tough lineup for Indiana.
Bates Diop finds Andre Wesson, who hits the three.
It's the same spot. Andre Wesson hit the biggest three maybe of their year. Left corner against Nebraska, gave him the lead, kept the lead, got a win.
He likes that spot. McSwain throws it to Dockich. 2-on-2. Jackson. Potter really active in the early minutes with the foul.
Tell you what, Micah Potter started early in the year, got hurt with an ankle. He has come into this game and played absolutely fantastic.
Well, Keita Bates Diop, when we come back, is a great player, but also a great kid. We're going to tell a little bit of his story right after this. Well, Keita Bates Diop, he is having such a great year on the court. He's also a fascinating kid off the court, and his name even tells part of his story. There's a gentleman named Sheikh Anta Diop, who is a Senegalese scientist, anthropologist, has studied the origins of the human race, all kinds of stuff. Richard Bates, who is Keita's father, an admirer of the work of this scientist, and so when Keita was born back in 1996, not because this is a family, and just as much as he admired this Senegalese scientist, he added the Diop to Keita Bates's last name. It's not a family name, it's just to honor a guy that he likes very much. And it gives you, I think, just some insight into not just Keita, but his family and kind of what they're all about. Really interesting story.
I have a great time. I sit every game with Richard Diop. Or Richard Bates, excuse me, and he is just a quiet, great dude. We were cheering like crazy when he hit the three to make the game tied against Penn State, and then we got all sad when it when it didn't happen. So we had the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat back to back, he and I.
I don't know about some of those shots from Indiana, a couple of wild chucks. Hoosiers are in some trouble here. We're halfway through the first half, down 15. But Dad Richard, Mom Wilma, Kata grew up in Normal, Illinois, college town, went to University High School, affiliated with Illinois State. He's already graduated. Kata Bates Diop has got his econ degree in 3.5 years. There's Andrew with the three.
Good. That came off hard left. I think Justin Smith had a little bit to say about it.
Here's Smith down low, and a foul before the shot. And finally, Kata Bates Diop. We've seen glimpses, Dan, in the past of the talent, and he's had some great performances, but this is the year he's put it all together. You go back, this is kind of amazing to me. That 2014 recruiting class, D'Angelo Russell, Bates Diop, and Jayshawn Tate. Seems like a long time ago, right? Bates Diop has had some injuries, but he was a top 50 high school player.
He was the leading scorer on a team last year, until he got hurt 7 games in. So this is not one of those deals where, he's out of nowhere. He has been good from the jump. And, people forget that D'Angelo Russell played here.
It was a short career, but productive. Not a great entry pass. Good job by Morgan, who now gets tripped up as Indiana brings it onto the offensive side. Newkirk, they need one of these to go down.
No, that's a bad shot. Newkirk hasn't made anything. Morgan hasn't touched the ball. All Morgan's done is run up and down the court. He's got to be the guy that they play through this entire basketball game. Quick threes are not going to get it done.
Morgan and Johnson by far their best players. There's McRoberts harassing Andrew Dockich. Ohio State ball.
I like what Archie Miller is doing. They're putting a bigger guy on Andrew Dockich, or they were. First it was Smith, and they're going to look to help off of him, and they're going to look to harass him because the ball, when he's in the game, moves a little bit better for Ohio State, and they're trying to take that away with some size.
That's what Andrew does. Good passer, facilitator.
This is all about trying to get it inside to Wesson right here if they can.
Tate with the shot clock winding down, got it off and got the friendly.
That's a hometown rim right there. That's a bad shot that bounced left. Hit left, the rim gave twice.
Everything going well for Ohio State in the early minutes. Another 10-0 run for the Buckeyes. Smith muscling his way in with a foul.
Yeah, that was a good call by Bo Borowski. Smith made the drive. Wesson was in pretty good position, but then you're going to see Wesson take his right hand, and he's going to reach in here. This is really good by Smith. This kid's going to be really good. This kid can play inside, outside. Right there, you see the right hand go in, and the young freshman who's gotten a lot bigger at Indiana played through contact. He had 20 his first start. We did the game at Minnesota.
You and I were there.
Yeah,
he was spectacular.
Yeah, he was great.
Misses the chance for the three-point play. He played with Jalen Brunson in high school outside of Chicago, Stevenson High School. He's played with high-level kids coming up. I am with you. Justin Smith's going to be a very good player for Indiana. Bates Diop back in after a brief rest against McRoberts, who played good defense, forced the travel.
I'm telling you, McRoberts the perfect guy to guard Bates Diop. He can guard him, he can stay with him, and he's been so well coached in high school by a guy named Scott Henning. 2 state championships for that kid in high school.
Back in our college basketball studios, Carl Ravitch, Jay Williams. Clemson has 21 points tonight against North Carolina. How'd they get them?
Yeah, great penetration. They force the defense to collapse every single time. Nobody from UNC hedges and gets back to the defender. Gabe DeVoe, Shelton Mitchell, Marquise Reed have already knocked down 7 trays.
7 threes. That's how you get 21. They're up 21-14. They still haven't had a 2-point bucket.
7 times 3, even we can do that math. North Carolina, who is a team that has Final Four dreams. Dan, I thought one thing interesting in the preseason, you picked Ohio State to go to the Final Four. You were the only one. The only one.
Yeah, I had a little birdie that told me they were going to be pretty good. Now look, of course it's nepotism. I mean, you think I'm going to pick against my kid's team? I'm not. And nobody's ever right with Final Four picks anyway, so who cares?
Why not take a shot?
And you know what? Andrew had told me that, hey, this team's going to be pretty good. And then I watched them in 2 scrimmages, and I thought, you know what? This team's really good.
So you had some inside info.
I did.
But people thought you were insane.
Well, they still do.
They were picked to finish 11th in the Big Ten, and you predicted they were going to go to the Final Four.
Well, let's be honest. I'm not sure that anybody really understood.
That's great passing.
That is. That needed to go in for Cam Williams. He's the kind of guy. You see him running back. He jumps up. He lets a bad shot or a missed shot really kind of affect him.
Here's Green for three. Too strong. Indiana's shots just aren't going down for the Hoosiers.
They got to quit shooting after one pass. Indiana needs to move the ball, play through Juwan Morgan, and those same shots will go in, I promise you.
Bates Diop.
It's got to go in.
They do play through the big guy. When he's on the floor, they get the ball inside. And it's stripped away. Wesson got it back. Those good hands.
Big guys have two things. Great hands and great feet, or else they could not play at this level. And Wesson has both.
He just committed a foul, though, and Juwan Morgan will have a chance for a three-point play.
Do you know how hard this shot is by Juwan Morgan?
It looked hard to me.
But he made it look easy. He just flipped it off his hand. He is so good from wrist to the top of his fingers. He just flips things in. He's off balance. He's on traffic. Look at this. Foul, flip. He just flips it in soft.
You know, this is going to sound weird. The Big Ten has some of the best finisher between Vincent Edwards, who's a great finisher around the rim.
Tate is a great finisher around the rim.
Excellent.
Juwan
Morgan is.
Who might be the best at different angles is Nick Ward. Nick Ward makes shots all day long for Michigan State.
Ethan Happ, I was thinking about him.
Was he good last night?
Great win for Nebraska on the road. Tate. Shot clock winding down. Not a great pass. Stolen by McRoberts.
No, when you make a pass to the post, it's got to be on the bounce. You throw that chest high or shoulder high, the defense can come over the top. Got to go to Morgan here.
Indiana's defense has picked up. They got to get it going on this end of the floor. Morgan fouled again.
Yeah, he is so slick, and he's so good at splitting people, and he's going to get fouled all night if they keep going to him.
Well, our women's Thursday night showcase, top 10 matchup a couple days from now. Undefeated #1 UConn. What else is new against the defending national champ, South Carolina? 7 p.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN or over on ESPN on the ESPN app.
Ohio State substitution #2 moves to Chapman, replacing Cam Williams.
South Carolina's never beaten a #1 team. They have a chance to do that against UConn. It's been a lopsided series, but UConn lost last year, and South Carolina took advantage and won the national title.
Yeah, Mississippi State beat him, right? Remember
They
that
did.
shot?
And they're good again, Mississippi State. I do remember that shot.
Mississippi State was great. It's great this year in women's hoops. I had a chance to watch them. I can't remember what I was watching, but I watched them, and I kind of just kept it there because I enjoyed watching them.
What else can't you remember?
What I ate.
What day it is?
College.
Those 4 years.
A little issue with that.
I like Indiana's defensive effort. After the first few minutes of the game, Archie Miller's team is playing hard.
Indiana's defensive effort has not been a problem for Indiana. I think starting really with the Notre Dame game, that Indiana has been fantastic defensively. Their problem against Illinois was Illinois just played harder in the second half. Indiana didn't react. Their problem against Purdue was that they just didn't play well down the stretch against Purdue.
Yeah, the last few minutes of both those games did not go well for the Hoosiers. Wesson scooped it up and scored.
What great hands. I mean, a fantastic drive by C.J. Jackson, and then Wesson just absolutely devoured the basketball.
Mr. Basketball in the state of Ohio. He almost stepped on Juwan Morgan.
That was a heck of a play by Andrew Dockage. Andrew Dockage reached in there as Morgan was going and deflected the ball off of Morgan for Indiana's ball. Here, look, what? Just grabs it.
And Morgan usually gets those rebounds. And He's got good hands
Morgan
himself.
went for a drive down here, and Dockage stepped in there and knocked it off of him. Usually Morgan splits that and goes and gets an and one.
You can call him Andrew, by the way. I'm giving you permission. You can call your kid by his first name. Nah?
I call him a lot of things at a lot of different times.
Wesson again.
How good is he?
They can't handle it.
You know what? They're doing their work late. And what I mean by that is Morgan isn't bumping Wesson until Wesson gets set up on the block. You got to do your work early and bump him at the foul line.
5 for 5, 10 points. Good first half for Caleb Wesson.
Pretty good freshman.
Mr. Basketball in the state of Ohio. He's lost 50 pounds since coming to college.
Yeah, he's worked really hard. His dad was a big old guy, too. His dad was a really good player.
Move, but no finish.
You just can't play without throwing the ball to Morgan if you are Indiana.
Musa Jallo pushes off.
Yeah, good call. Musa Jallo is from Bloomington, Indiana. Would be a senior at Bloomington North High School right now, reclassified, and came to Ohio State late in the summer, middle of the summer. Pretty good get. You know he's dying to just go against the hometown team, right?
You know he wants to make something happen. Although people asked him before this game, you know, is this a huge game for you? He goes, I didn't really grow up much of an Indiana fan.
Yeah,
in Bloomington.
Yeah,
what's his high school gym? About 2 miles from Assembly Hall. The ball was tipped, although C.J. Jackson didn't agree.
Yes, his high school gym is right by Assembly Hall, right down the street.
McSwain, one dribble, and he missed it. You got to finish that.
Boy, that was a great setup by Indiana. Got the shot they wanted.
Bates Diop trailing, misses the three.
Remember that big miss. Had a chance to go up 19. Watch how the end of this half goes now.
Andrew harassing Robert Johnson, who has had a really quiet half. Lobs it, Morgan, tough catch. Shot fake,
How about
scores.
That? I'm telling you, Morgan is so good in traffic. You know, there are guys, that is a real skill. You know, Indiana fans remember Cody Zeller. Cody Zeller could not play in traffic, could not play in the middle of a zone. This guy, Morgan, is so comfortable, and you just saw him go to the other side of the rim. Heck of a move. That's not easy, folks.
Ben Rover halftime report. Oklahoma Baylor. Can Baylor slow down Trae Young? Also a look ahead to Kentucky and Vandy coming up. Seth and Jay are here. All right, what do you like about Ohio State?
Ohio State's going to win this game. Then they'll beat Illinois at home. The game that matters, February 7th at West Lafayette against Purdue. That's the game.
You're like Kreskin. You're predicting the future. You know what's interesting about Ohio State? Jaquan Lyle out. Keita Bates-Diop in, and Andrew Dockich in, changes the chemistry of the team. My man Junior is making a difference.
Stop.
By the way, Keita Bates-Diop, he's not bad either.
Brown nose.
Hey,
All valid
Another
points,
one.
I think. Yeah, that's another push-off against Ohio State.
I'm telling you, Zach McRoberts, you can't drive against Zach McRoberts. He is so well schooled defensively. Look, this is a kid that went to Vermont, transferred back. Let's talk about Trae Young instead.
That's because, you know, they were asking, can Baylor slow down Trae Young? How would you guard?
You can't let Trae Young go wherever he wants. You've got to keep him on a side. You got to switch, trap every single screen, and then if you're not going to switch, you got to come up, and then you got to play no catch. He has to be made to work to get the basketball. I would pick him up full court once in a while just to make him incredibly uncomfortable, and then you just pray. You know what I mean? You just pray. You just pray that it all worked out for you.
There's a bucket for Green. So that's, you know, I'm not saying that even if you do all those things, it's necessarily going to work. That's kind of the final point you're making is still might not work as talented as he is.
No, but they will. I've seen so many teams just let him be. Just let him be another guy. No.
Yeah, you can't do that.
No, you can't do that at all.
He's not another guy.
No, you got to make him, keep him on a side, make him uncomfortable.
Bates Diop. Defended well by Morgan. Wild miss. Here come the Hoosiers.
Yeah, Indiana has bunched it up. They're helping off Dockich, helping a little bit, just a little bit off of C.J. Jackson, and Morgan did make the extra pass. Excuse me, Bates Diop did make the extra pass.
McSwain, this time, can he finish? No.
Boy, he's gotten good looks.
Really good looks. Great outlet.
That's a heck of a pass by Dockich, but even a better run out by Bates Diop. Bates Diop sprinted right down the middle and just whipped everybody, and then a tough finish around McRoberts.
See, now you think it was a better run out. I think it was a better pass.
It was a great pass, but it's my son, and I'm tired of people, you know.
That was a great outlet pass.
That was a great pass.
I think Andrew's biggest strength this year watching the Buckeyes. Here's Morgan, had it poked away, got it back, and finishes.
Man, Potter was right there. Potter knocked it out of Morgan's hands, and Morgan has such great hands that he was able to go get it back and lay it in.
When you watch your kid on the offensive end, we'll see if he has a chance on this possession. He delivers the ball. He doesn't just get it to the right guy. He puts it in exactly the right spot. where somebody's ready to shoot. C.J. Jackson was ready to shoot. That was Andre Wesson's pass.
That was a great pass by Wesson. It was a cross court over two heads that had their backs turned to the ball. Jackson just came off a little flare. Great action by Chris Holtman. Indiana has to have a bucket here. Needs a bucket big time.
Archie Miller, I think, feeling like that, so he calls the timeout, and we will take a quick break ourselves. All right, let's judge. I thought the pass was even better than the run out of the finish.
The run out, the pass is good, but Bates Diop is running out. The pass right there, and then the finish between two guys. I like them both. Both
It was
were
all
good.
pretty good.
Yeah, it was good. What are you going to do?
All right, well, hopefully Shaka Smart was taking some notes. Dockage telling him how to defend Trae Young, because Oklahoma, Texas on Saturday, 6:15 Eastern. And then you and I will be at Assembly Hall. This Indiana team against top 5 Michigan State at 8:15. Both games on ESPN, on the Watch ESPN app.
Well, Shaka and I talk somewhat, not often, but occasionally. Man,
Jackson got his hands on the ball, stole it right away from Juwan Morgan. And the arrow does favor Indiana. That's got to frustrate Archie Miller, doesn't it?
Well,
you take a timeout to set up a play, and that happens?
yeah, you know what? Ohio State's doing this is how you can tell a team's pretty locked in defensively. They're doing a really good job of coming from the help side. Same side. Watch this. You're going to see Jackson get in there, and next thing you know, he's on the floor. That's happened a number of times in this game. And that tells you pretty alert by Ohio State.
McSwain fumbled. Roberts with the shot clock winding down. Wesson defends him well. Potter rebound, and the shot clock will not be off, but almost exactly the same game clock, shot clock.
All right, this will be interesting. Indiana only 4 team fouls, so they can give a few.
See if they want to or not. No indication from the bench.
I tell you what, Terry Johnson was screaming at C.J. Jackson. He had less than 1 second to get that ball across half court.
That would have been an unforced error.
That would have been sit down a while.
That's a whistle, and they do, whether they gave that foul or that was just a foul, not realizing they only had 14 fouls. 6.4 left now, timeout Ohio State, and I would think Archie Miller might talk about that with his team.
Yeah, and I would think that Cam Williams would come into the game, because Cam Williams is going to sit in the corner, and if you drive, kick, he's going to shoot it. I would take, if I'm Indiana, I've got to take Juwan Morgan out of the game, and then I'm going to foul. I've got 2 more to give, but you can't let Morgan do it.
Pretty good bounce back, huh, from the Buckeyes so far. I mean, we got a long way to go. We're not even at halftime yet, but this Ohio State team, Penn State came in here last week and just played great, made everything, started off, hit their first 6 or 7 threes, got off to a big lead, and the Buckeyes, off their only conference loss of the year, are up 15 in the first half against a good Indiana team.
Well, Ohio State shoots 63%. That's a pretty good start. But you know what? You and I have been trying to make Penn State great for 2 years.
We have.
And Pat Chambers told me after the game, he said, finally we can make Dave and Dan look good. But, hey, I'm telling you, they were not only good making shots, which they did. They got, they got into, and I mean into Ohio State hard. That's bad turnover.
Okay, so that wasn't Andrew's finest moment. A little miscommunication, maybe not all on number 13.
I thought the ball, when he released it, my angle, it looked like it was coming to us.
Hey, Dad, catch. well, that changes this last few seconds.
You're going to see Jackson didn't need to come. Andrew didn't think he was. And that usually will get a guy a seat.
Somehow Andrew's been spared here. He's still on the floor with 6.4 seconds. A chance for Indiana to have something positive happen at the end of the half.
Well, now you cannot let Robert Johnson get a shot here. I don't care who else does. It cannot be Robert Johnson.
Green, no good, and the horn will sound.
The reason I said that is Robert Johnson has had a tough half. As Robert Johnson goes, Indiana goes. And you cannot, if you're Ohio State, let Robert Johnson get going. But if you're Indiana, you got to figure out how to get Robert Johnson going in the second half.
He had 0 in the first half.
Right.
And the Buckeyes shot 63%. So that kind of tells you the story. 38-23, our halftime score after this break. Carl Ravitch and the gang in studio right after this. Welcome to Super Tuesday, presented by Boost Mobile as we get ready to start the second half. The Buckeyes of Ohio State very much looking like the 17th ranked team in the country. They played well, including my partner's kid, Andrew Dockich, and company with a 38-23 halftime lead. And we've been talking about this, having a little fun. Is anybody killing you for the way you've called the game?
I don't know. I'm off Twitter for the month of February. I'm going to let it go.
I do think it's, look, we're laughing about it. I do think it's amazing that your son, as a walk-on grad transfer, is playing more minutes as a senior than you did at Indiana.
Yeah, he doesn't deserve to. I worked a lot harder growing up than he did. But, hey, look, he found the right spot. Life is about finding, the right spot and taking advantage of opportunities. And I would say this about the entire Ohio State team. C.J. Jackson, most improved player along with Juwan Morgan in the league. He's taking advantage of an opportunity with a new team. And now the new team includes throwing a daggone ball in the post because this kid, this freshman, Caleb Wesson, is a terrific post-up player. And now part of throwing the ball and scoring in the paint is driving the basketball and going to either hand. Look, Ohio State threw the ball inside and did something with it. They scored 22 points in the paint. Indiana got the ball inside. Freddie McSwain missed layups, but if Indiana is going to win this game or get back in this game, it is going on the block to Juwan Morgan for 20 minutes.
And they got to play through their best player.
You have to.
I mean, it felt like, I didn't count, but it felt like Freddie McSwain got more touches and shots in the first half than Juwan Morgan did.
Great cut.
That is not the start that the Hoosiers wanted.
Yeah, and again, there's Katie Bates-Diop. Ball in the center of the court, and you're going to see a little baseline, kind of a flex screen. And Bates-Diop plays over, around, and through people. He's just so talented, and Jayshawn Tate made a heck of a cut. You're going to see, let's see right here. You see on the bottom, just a nice cut. McRoberts made a bad play going over the top. Never go over the top of baseline screens. Always go underneath.
Well, Devontae Green starting, not Josh Newkirk, the second half for Indiana. I think that's notable.
He should be starting. He can make shots. He's made a couple in this game.
Pretty good pass to McSwain. And Green missed the layup. Indiana's missed about 5 layups.
Yeah, they really have. They've had good looks.
I think that's when you look at this Hoosiers team, they're not making outside shots, but they're just not making enough shots, period. Tate scored.
Tate got a running start from the right wing, out-hustled everybody on Indiana. He sprinted. Everybody on Indiana just jogged. He competed. Everybody on Indiana was just playing a game.
Another good pass, another missed shot. Morgan finishes.
Yeah, Morgan just knows where the ball is. And I don't blame Archie Miller here. If you're ever going to see Archie Miller explode on his team, and I don't think you will here, this would be it.
I don't think he's thrilled with the way this second half has started. Ohio State still up big. Well, Women's Thursday Night Showcase, top 10 matchup. Number 1 UConn, number 7 defending champ South Carolina. That will be a good one. 7 Eastern on ESPN, the ESPN app. South Carolina's never beaten a number 1 ranked team. They got a chance to do it on Thursday night. Buckeyes aren't number 1, but they're number 17. Even they are struggling with Juwan Morgan, who has been by far Indiana's best player all year, and especially tonight.
3 of those 6 shots have been offensive rebounds. Look, to me, you've got to play through him. You've got to get him the ball every possession. I mean, he is the guy.
What a pass.
That's a set that Chris Holtman uses constantly, and it is always Cam Williams with the back cut.
And he knew just what to do when he got that pass from the big guy, Caleb Wesson. Here's Morgan, so they're playing through him this time. Got a shot blocked by Bates-Diop.
Telling you. Bates-Diop plays with his hands above his shoulders. Now think about that.
Runner with some contact, didn't finish. Loose ball. And Tate gets up limping a little bit, but looks like he's all right. Green open, 3.
Yeah, he's confident. You can tell that's a big 5-point swing. Bates-Diop took a bad shot. You don't see that very often out of him after a good defense. And I'm telling you, Green feels it. Green's the kind of guy that can go ahead and hit 6 or 7 threes here in a half.
Indiana may need that. There's still a long way to go, though, in this game. Jackson for 3. In and out. you're right. Green looks like a confident player right now.
He does. He's the one guy. And now if Robert Johnson can play off that, Indiana will have a chance to get back in this.
Robert Johnson still has not scored. He's their second leading scorer. He's been really playing well of late. Shot clock winding down and not much happening. Morgan shoots the three. Way off.
He had become a good shooter the day we did their game against Minnesota. He had made one. And then he made three in that game.
He has been shooting the ball pretty well from the outside. All year long, he's done everything else well. Wesson, spin move.
Too big, too strong. He can go either shoulder. Now, his footwork, his father's a really good coach of big guys. And he taught him a drop step with his left foot and a drop step with his right foot, where he not only drop steps, but he keeps his eyes on the rim, able to finish. A lot of big guys move and drop step, but they drop their head. You can't drop your head when you're in the post.
They're calling Wesson for a foul, playing defense against Morgan.
Watch his drop step. He's going to take his left foot. He's going to drop it to the baseline. But when he does it, he usually keeps his head up. See, his head's up. Now, there's your drop step. See, immediately when he turned, his chin was up on the rim. There are so many big kids that don't trust their feet, and they look down. He trusts his feet, enable him to look up at the rim. It's a little thing, but it makes all of the difference in the world.
Morgan to the bucket. Another one for Juwan Morgan.
Yeah, that was really good by Morgan. When a guy plays above you on the post, and it's called the high side. It's the side opposite the baseline. You move him up, Dave, and you keep moving him up. If he goes with you, it's going to give you an angle to the bucket, and that's what happened there.
Created that lane, and Morgan took advantage of it. He's got 15 of Indiana's 30. Bates Diop is having a quiet game for Ohio State, and yet they're up big. That's a good sign for the Buckeyes. Jackson had it stripped away.
Yeah, good play by Green. Got his hand in there.
McSwain. Good.
Freddie McSwain Jr.
Freddie McSwain ran the floor. Green has done a great job so far. He got his hand in there. He knocked it away. And McSwain ran the floor.
Now a little burst of energy from Indiana. Williams for three. Yes.
He stepped. You can tell what he's going to make by how quickly he steps into his shot. There is a snap to him when you know it's going in, or at least it's getting over the front of the rim.
Tate was touching it. It was on the sideline. Couldn't quite steal it away, and that'll send us to a timeout.
Timeout on the floor.
Ohio State playing well here at home, trying to bounce back from their only league loss. They lead Indiana 49-32. Some updated standings, so to speak. Results, our Capital One fan vote. Who is the #1 team in the country? We gave you three choices: Purdue, Villanova, Virginia. And as of now, the Capital One fan voting says Cavaliers, Virginia, #1 team in the country according to the fans. Dan, make some other fans upset. Who's your #1 team?
My #1 team is Purdue. I just think they're the most complete team in the country. All three of those teams are kind of the same. They guard you. They have terrific offense. If you average 90 and you play Virginia, you're going to score in the 60s like we saw with Duke. I just think all three veteran teams, just, man.
Seems hard to believe all the good defense that Tony Bennett's teams have played. This is the best statistical defense they've ever had.
You know, I talked to him the other day, and it's funny. You know, people criticize them. Well, let's see what they do. They guard the heck out of you. I almost swore there. They guard you, and guess what? They try to get the best shot they can. Now, that's a pretty good formula for success, right?
Yes.
I mean, it worked for his dad.
Micah Potter for three, the big man.
Amazing what happens, Dave, when you just play hard. Micah Potter came into this game playing hard, really, really, really hard, and he steps out and knocks in a three. Only his 4th three of the year.
Andre Wesson with some really good defense. And a whistle and a foul against Indiana. What does BPI think about those top teams in the country? They think Virginia's got a decent chance, but they put the Cavaliers 3rd. Villanova Purdue, and those two's kind of gone back. I've watched this BPI thing over the arc of the season. Those two have kind of gone back and forth.
Yeah, it's an obligatory thing because of Billis and Jay Will that we put Duke in there. You have to. That's not by coincidence, people.
They still the metrics still like Duke, and I think the point that you made about Duke is when you try to assess their prospects. That's a foul against Indiana. They can score. And I know they didn't score as much as usual against Virginia, but you get into a tournament environment, they're going to be hard to stop.
I've always thought that most teams that make the NCAA tournament, let's say you played a team out of the MAC, they're hot, right? They won their tournament, so they're hot. So they can get in the low 70s. They can score 68, 70 points, 72 points. But I'm not sure they can go get 90. And that's where the change in basketball, with more teams going to get 90, and I'm interested to see how this goes. It makes it harder for a mid-major type team to play these guys. Like, there are very few teams, if any, other than Virginia, that can hold Duke to 60-some points at Cameron. You just can't do it, or neutral court, which is what the tournament is.
That was a good time for a big picture point because we just had a few sort of meaningless whistles, and now we bring the ball the other way.
Referees are always going to remind you that they are in the gym.
They're here. They're here tonight.
This is a really good crew, though.
They've done a good job.
Hey, I've known this crew for a long, long time, and if you are a visiting coach, you want this crew because they are not afraid.
Tournament projections, Joe Lunardi. He's got Purdue as a #1 seed. Michigan State is a 2 seed. This Ohio State team is a 4 seed. And Maryland still got a chance. Al Durham hits a 3 for Indiana.
They're letting Al Durham shoot. In the first half, Andrew Doggett came in and played off Al Durham. They did it there. Tate kind of looked at the coaches like, what the heck?
You keep talking. I'm going to try to actually find out when his last made 3 was. Do some play-by-play here, Dan.
I got to like what Potter just did. He also, Tate didn't need to take that 3. He really did.
Okay, I got my answer.
Yeah, I'm not good.
Al Durham before that, you're good at what you do. Keep doing what you do. Al Durham had not made a 3 since December 4th.
And that's why you saw both in the first half and now Ohio State playing off of him. They're not playing off him now. He's going to have to make a shot over Tate.
Funny how things change quickly. This guy's hot. Newkirk dribbles into a 3.
And Newkirk shoots the ball, and it looks like it's going in, but it just never does.
That's a problem for Indiana. Connor down low. Jumper, no good. And a foul against Andre Wesson.
Yeah, this is an interesting lineup right now. Without Bates Diop, Indiana plays pretty good defense. Actually plays very good defense on the perimeter. Now they're going to change it up. Andrew Dockich is going to play the 1. C.J. Jackson is going to run off some screens. But Indiana has had halves of really good defense. And you see a glimpse, if you're an Indiana fan, of what the future holds in terms of what Archie Miller is trying to develop, and that's toughness. Toughness, and more toughness.
A hallmark of his Dayton teams, just down the road from here in Columbus. Durham feeling it now. He made 1, so he's going to start shooting. That's a foul against Indiana.
They ran that for him. They ran a cross screen, then down screen action for Al Durham in the middle, and that shot looked good. Hard to believe he hasn't made more.
Indiana's got to start making some of those down big in Columbus.
Well, Roy Williams said going to play with a little more heart in the second half, guys, and not showing up here. Gabe DeVoe, corner 3, buries it, 51-36. All right, Flem, Dan, Trae Young in action tonight, 29.6 points per game against Baylor. Over/under on points tonight for Trae Young. What do you got for me?
Okay. Dan, you go.
I'll go over under 26.5.
Yeah, but, okay, so which one are you taking?
I'll
over
take the
or
over.
under?
I'm giving you the number.
Well, he gave you the number.
What was the number? What did you say?
I think he said 20. Now you've confused me with your number.
I couldn't hear him.
Who does he remind you of, Dan?
He reminds me.
We're putting these pictures up on the screen.
He reminds me of Steph Curry. He does. Hey, Kyrie Irving, he finishes, but he does. He reminds me of Steph Curry. I just think that until the Oklahoma State game, Trae Young had not been a pig. He had not, a ball hog. He had not held on to it too many times. And in that game he did, and then he learned. Next thing you know, but he reminds me of Steph Curry.
Yeah. He does so many things a lot like him.
Yeah.
Wesson down low, off the glass.
When in doubt, run a set, bringing a shooter off C.J. Jackson and immediately into the block against Juwan Morgan, who is not the most willing defender.
Well, Trae Young in Oklahoma, they follow us against Baylor. I'm going over 2. I think it'll be a big game for him. McRoberts for 3. Morgan got a hand on the rebound, but Ohio State comes away with it.
Yeah, I didn't hear the number. I would make it 26.5.
Yeah, it's close to that.
Yeah, I think I'd go over.
Jackson missed it. Tate doesn't miss.
Always there. Moses Malone said at one time, I go after every offensive rebound hoping to get 2 or 3 a game. Jayshawn Tate goes after every offensive rebound, gets a couple a game. And Moses Malone, best offensive rebounder I have ever seen.
Isn't that interesting? All that effort just to get a few of them.
Just to get a few. And I'm telling you, it's a pretty nice move. And here he is on the other side. He is always putting himself in position opposite the ball to get an offensive rebound. He's only 6'3".
He's the best little big man going. I mean, he's not a tall guy. He just plays big. Plays inside. Green crossover 3. Good.
Feeling good. C.J. Jackson got caught behind the screen. You've got to get play the game at hand. So what you have to do on Green is you have to get over the screen and make him drive left or right, whichever way you want him to go. Doesn't matter. Just can't let him stand behind and shoot.
Green's got 8 this half, 13 for the game, trying to keep Indiana in it. Wesson backing his way in, then picked up his dribble, had it stolen away. Morgan over the top. One dribble, and Wesson got back to swat it.
Boy, pretty good hustle by Wesson. Wesson got a little sloppy with the ball, did not put his head down, and immediately just sprinted. Pretty good by Wesson. You get a little sloppy, pass fake high, throw it high. Morgan made a nice play, and then Morgan, I think, should have just taken it to the rim. But Wesson kept hustling.
Indiana ball, 26 on the shot clock.
Here comes Green again off a screen-to-screener action.
That was a good little play by Indiana, but Morgan couldn't score.
So he bumped into Wesson, and let's put it this way, Wesson didn't give.
Andrew tried to thread one in there to Bates Diop.
Yeah, there is a saying in coaching, and it goes like this: what are you doing? And that's exactly what Chris Holtman said to Andrew Dockage. What are you doing? I saw what he saw, but he had to throw it through like 7 different people to get it where he wanted it.
Chris Holtman, excellent young coach, has been a difference maker here for Ohio State.
You know what? My son, obviously, with the ball here, said from the first moment, he said, Dad, these guys really, really care about you. And they have, and they've turned this program around in a very short time.
Bates Diop, who is having a tough time scoring, came up short there.
I think Indiana does a good job. Indiana individually defense is better than they've been in the last few years.
Freddie McSwain, not an outside shooter. McRoberts can make one from the outside. Morgan, one dribble. That one swatted, but they're going to call a foul.
One of the problems that Ohio State has is sometimes they don't kick it to the next guy. Sometimes they think their guy, they get their guy. What Indiana's doing is Indiana is crowding the lane. You got to kick it out.
Hey, this is what we were talking about with Chris and Andrew and their relationship, which has developed over a short period of time. They've each only been here for this one season. This is Holtman on your kid. He's very detail-oriented, extremely smart and cerebral. What he lacks in athleticism, and let's be honest, he lacks athleticism. He makes up for it in his IQ.
I told Andrew one time, I said, man, wouldn't it be great if one time somebody said, oh, man, he's so athletic, he's just really dumb. I always wanted somebody to say about that. The dumb part I get, but, he's just so athletic. But he just doesn't know how to play. That would be like the biggest compliment a Dockage could get.
We're still waiting for that one.
The dumb part I get every game. But again, Ohio State, Indiana's a good defensive team, and you see Indiana's not letting the ball go where Ohio State wants to let it go.
This game is not over. The lead is 16 for the Buckeyes. Tate muscles his way through. Tip is no good, but the second try from Bates Diop.
And he jumped a little. He's just so long on the second jump, it's incredible. And he just tapped it.
Morgan between the legs to make sure he doesn't fall out of bounds. He thought being pushed. He goes right into the cheerleaders.
Now, if I'm Johnson, I've got to go. I've got to go.
Robert Johnson, that is his first basket of the night.
And that's why I said he's got to go. He had the ball in the middle of the lane. He got a good switch, and you've just got to put your head down, make or miss. You got to go try to make a play.
Chris Holtman told me that he interviewed with you when you were the head coach of Bowling Green.
He did. He came to my house. I knew we were going to be fired, and I didn't really want to hire a young guy, so I hired a good friend of mine to get him a job for another year.
Okay, well, that's the explanation. I was sort of thinking, you didn't hire that guy?
Yeah, I'm a real genius.
Shot clock winding down. Andre Wesson traveled.
Well, he had a lane. He did. He had a lane. Indiana is playing good defense. If they can hit a couple shots, this game's going to get a little sexy late.
ESPN exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by Boost Mobile.
Virginia against the Super Frosh.
We're being treated to an epic season by Trae Young.
This is a blockbuster-sized rematch. West Virginia, Oklahoma, Monday at 9 on ESPN.
Well, two guys who've been good players for a very long time. Yeah, going way back. Javon Carter, Trae Young. And they will go head-to-head again on Monday night, Oklahoma and West Virginia. Carter, I mean, the numbers, Trae Young still scored, 29 the first time those two teams met this year, but it was not an easy 29, a lot of turnovers. Carter really played better. McSwain went up for the dunk and got fouled.
Isn't it amazing what we expect of Trae Young every night? Like every night, he gets 17 points, and we're like,
Yeah.
I mean, really.
Now, part of it is, look, when you shoot 22 times and you handle the ball every possession, you're going to put some points on the board.
Yeah, but, I mean, he's still a freshman playing college basketball.
I agree.
And the other guys are on scholarship, too.
They are.
And the coaches are paid a lot of money in those suits over there on the sidelines to figure out how to stop you. And
I think Lon Kruger is the perfect coach for him.
Perfect. Who would be a bad coach for him, though, really? I mean, if you limit Trae Young as a coach, you need to find, TV work.
Hey, you made an appearance, not sitting just next to me. It wasn't a distraction to McSwain at all. He made the free throw.
That's
after.
an ugly head, so I can't imagine that didn't distract you a little bit. I like the way Indiana plays on the ball. I mean, they get after you.
Indiana has done some good things tonight, but they're shooting 37%. Bates Diop, his outside shot is just a little off.
No, it is. It went dead right there.
This kid's pass. Green to McSwain.
I'm telling you, Green, they found something here tonight with Indiana. Green's got to be the guy moving forward, and you just let him have the keys and figure it out later. Only a sophomore kid has real ability and real toughness.
It's just been a mystery why he struggled so much. Potter to Bates Diop to the free throw line. I'm with you, though. This could be a big positive in a night that might not end positively for Indiana, although there's still plenty of time left.
Oh, there's a ton of time. Remember, earlier in the year, 14-point lead around the 3-minute mark. Chris Holtman's ex-team, Butler, Ohio State Butler came back and won the game. You get a feeling like all these free throws that you're going to shoot here if you're Ohio State are huge.
Yeah, you can't waste points.
No. I feel like in this game, Robert Johnson and Green could go make a ton of shots here.
Green, he forced that one, although he thought there was a lot of contact. McSwain is playing really hard. He hasn't always been efficient.
You might have just seen why Green doesn't play all the time, because that was a terrible shot.
It's one thing to be feeling it. Morgan passes up the three.
How about
has
that?
his shot rejected.
I'm telling you, Bates Diop, he's played a great, not a good, a great defensive game here.
It's his third block.
And it started from the first half. I mean, when he just went in and was in the right spot every time.
Smooth from Cam Williams.
How about the pass?
Great
Took
pass.
in the lane. That's what I'm talking about. Occasionally, Ohio State gets too focused on their own. When they share it like that, they're tough to play against.
Johnson in the lane, had his shot blocked by C.J. Jackson. Morgan pulled to the floor.
Oh, was that a good play by C.J. Jackson? I mean, C.J. Jackson went up and got the block. This guy, I'm telling you, Bates Diop is going to get all the accolades, and he should, for being a terrific offensive player. But watch, see his hands above his head there? He keeps his hand up. So that way, he doesn't have to lift it up, and a quick shooter can get it over. He moves with his hand above his head and really doesn't have to jump much.
Here we go again with Indiana at the free throw line. They're just a terrible free throw shooting team.
That's the only way to put it.
And they're 4 of 9 in this game. And they cost themselves a win at Illinois. They would have won that game if they'd made free throws. Even most of them, not all of them. Bates Diop cut off. Jackson catch and shoot. McSwain way up there, and then fouled by Tate. Indiana is in the bonus. They're going to have to make free throws. I think part of the reason why you think Keita Bates Diop is such a contender for Big Ten Player of the Year, that all-around game that you're talking about, the two kids from Purdue, strong contenders themselves.
Yeah, and I think Bates Diop is the front runner, but I think Vince Edwards has been absolutely terrific. Carson Edwards, you and I, whenever we see him, all he does is explode. You know, Juwan Morgan, they haven't won enough. I would put Bridges in there. I think that Miles Bridges has the numbers that put him in that conversation, but I really don't think anybody's played both ends better than this kid.
Still a long way to go. McSwain earns the second free throw.
Tell you what, Illinois is crushing Rutgers right now. Illinois, I know they only have one win. This will probably be their second, but man, oh man, do they play hard.
Yeah.
You got new coaches in this league, and all three of them are similar in that they get their teams to play hard, and I include Archie Miller in that. Archie Miller, Holtman, Underwood.
You saw that note about the last Big Ten Player of the Year from Ohio State, Evan Turner. Archie Miller was an assistant coach, I think, when Evan Turner, maybe the year before, but he coached as an assistant here. Turner was a Buckeye, in and out. Offensive rebound. Tate goes to the free throw line.
He just has a knack. He just, the ball finds hustle, and Tate hustles. There has, and I've watched obviously every Ohio State game. There has not been a game that Jayshawn Tate has just gone through the motions. There is not, I don't care who they're playing. He's always around it, and because he hustles, the ball finds him.
Makes the first. Andrew in, Cam Williams out. Dad played as a Buckeye. You mentioned the consistency. 13 career double-doubles, 3 this year. That doesn't totally tell the story either.
He's been a terrific leader. His dad was a really good player. I mean, his dad, Jermaine, I tried to recruit him to Indiana. He played for Charlie Coles in Toledo. That's a Catholic Central High School. And tell you what, he was a battler, just like his son, but he was bigger. You know, he had rangy, 6'8", long arm guy. He played at Cincinnati and Ohio State. Jeez.
Robert Johnson, he got away with a little push. Jackson, good look. Andrew Dockich, short on the three.
Look at the hustle.
And no surprise who's the guy who tracks it down.
He just hustles. He leads by example. He leads with his attitude. Jayshawn Tate, I put him last week, first team all-league. I don't know if he's going to get that kind of accolade, but he certainly deserves it.
They've out-rebounded Indiana by 11. Part of that is Indiana's missed a lot of shots. McRoberts comes away with a steal. Hoosiers really cannot afford empty possessions. They need shots to go down like that one for 3.
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you what, that kid is playing a basketball game, and if you're Indiana, you found something. And now what you got to hope is you can find consistency out of Green, because he's been terrific tonight, the only guy for Indiana.
Well, the lead is only 12 with still 3 minutes to go. Don't go away. This one not in the bag yet. Well, Saturday, great day of college hoops. You're getting ready for the Super Bowl Saturday night. How about the couple of nightcaps? Oklahoma, Texas, 6:15 Eastern on ESPN. And then Michigan State in Bloomington to take on these Hoosiers. Michigan State, Indiana, 8:15 Eastern. The games will stream on the ESPN app. It'll be the rare game where Trae Young, the possibility will exist that he will be playing against a player who will be picked higher than him in the draft. Mo Bamba, I think he's got a chance to go very high.
I think he has a chance to go very high, but I'm not in the modern game of basketball. The way the game is played, positionless, pass the ball around.
Yeah.
I'm not passing up Trae Young for Mo Bamba. Maybe for Ayton out of Arizona. Maybe for Bagley. But the way the game is played now, I'm not sure I can do that.
Noted. C.J. Jackson makes the first.
You? Why is Indiana fouling C.J. Jackson?
I don't know. C.J. Jackson
feet.
is arguably the best free throw shooter in the Big Ten.
Only a 12-point game.
I mean,
now
he just
14.
gave him 2 points.
Yeah.
After you hit a big 3. That one I didn't understand. Well, Trae Young and Oklahoma following us.
Here's another reason I like Jayshawn Tate. Who's hot? Green. Who's guarding him? Tate.
You're right. Green will go to the free throw line.
Who did a bad job on him?
That's a tough assignment, though, for Jayshawn Tate.
This was great about basketball. You know, Green comes into this game. He's had 5 starts all year. He's shooting 26.5% from the three-point line. And he made 1 3 over his last 5 games. And yet, because of how mental basketball is, you get going a little bit. Yep. Next thing you know, this could make his entire season, and it could help this guy right here have a much better end of the season because he may have found himself a point guard that can score and compete on the defensive end.
Career high 18 for Green. Now some pressure. Ohio State will break that press. Jackson, baseline with the basket.
Boy, really good. Really good by C.J. Jackson. One of the things that Ohio State loves to do, C.J. Jackson is a little bit of their Mariano Rivera. Like when they have a lead, they go to him, and because he's quick, he uses his dribble well, and he can finish. So they go to him late handling the ball. And man, was that sweet on the baseline.
He's the closer, C.J. Jackson. 2:17 to go. Ohio State's lead back to 14. Trae Young is the starter. He's the middle reliever. He is the closer. He's everything for Oklahoma.
I feel like one thing we get done in a broadcast is I think we talk about Trae Young enough.
We do. We do. Well, he is following our game. That's part of it tonight.
I know.
And he is dynamic to watch. You know, the topic you bring up is an interesting one. Like in today's game, what do you value at the next level?
Here's what I would value if I were an NBA guy. Because let's face it, figuring out who an NBA player is and who an NBA player isn't the easiest thing.
It's a hard job.
You know, you see guys in college and you think he's an NBA guy. Here's what I value. How much guy's got to have enough talent. Okay? Got to have enough talent. I value, does he want to get better? And if he wants to get better, how? Like mental to the physical is 4:1 is so important in basketball. I mean, it's 4 times as important to be mentally tough. And if you think of all the great players, they've all worked and improved on their game, and they've all been strong-willed guys. if Trae Young is be very few guys, maybe none, I'd pick over him.
This time last year, we would not have said, but I think you can make an argument now. It looks like Donovan Mitchell may be a better NBA player than Lonzo Ball.
And that's because Donovan Mitchell is a tough dude.
How about that from Bates Diop? Just a perfect scenario for Ohio State down the stretch. Work, clock, and score.
Yeah, spread it out, slip the screen. C.J. Jackson, another good play.
Well, Indiana is going to have to regroup, go back home, get ready for Michigan State on Saturday night. You and I will be there. Hoosiers have played the good teams very well. Got a fourth block from Bates Diop.
Pretty good.
Really good.
He's really good.
He's going to play in the NBA.
Long time.
Green fouled on the three. Keita Bates Diop. He's kind of like the perfect guy for today's NBA.
Seems like. I mean, his reach is about 7'3". He's long arm. Watch him come out of nowhere. And even more than that, he really knows how to play. He's forced a shot maybe once in a while, that kind of stuff, but not very often. Rarely in the wrong position defensively. Totally unselfish. Totally committed to team. And if you're going to drop an NBA body, that's
it. I think he's got a good future.
Do you think?
I do. I really do.
Tell Noah about the flood.
I don't think there are lots of people who are talking about his NBA prospects. SportsCenter tonight on ESPN after Vanderbilt, Kentucky. A lot to talk about getting ready for the Super Bowl. Gronkowski's status. How about the Cavaliers in the fourth quarter making a change? No Isaiah Thomas seemed to play better. Does that continue tonight? Russell Westbrook's been playing great. The Thunder and the Warriors. All that coming up on SportsCenter. Green missed that final free throw.
I am of the ilk.
Yes.
That the Cavaliers, it just doesn't matter. I am. I mean, get yourself organized in the last month and then go make a run and then see how it goes. I just don't think you bring in Dwayne Wade for the regular season. I think he'll be fine. I think, LeBron, everybody will be fine. He's just...
I mean, it's kind of it's a tough issue, right? Because the NBA doesn't want to hear that. They don't want the regular season to be utterly meaningless.
No, well, let's back up. The only games in the NBA that matter are the ones on ESPN.
Yeah, when are the Cavs playing again? That's going to be a barometer game for them.
Man, how about the Pacers? Absolutely stole Victor Oladipo and Domantas Sabonis from OKC for Paul George. Stole them.
It's kind of a cool moment. I thought this last weekend before the Purdue game, Victor Oladipo was at Assembly Hall.
Yeah, good for Indiana. Indiana never, and I mean never, other than a national championship team, recognizes their own team. So I was very happy to see Oladipo, a guy who played on Big Ten title teams, but not national title teams, get honored. That was great.
That's not a good quality. Celebrate your history. You got great history.
Nobody's worse at it than IU. I'm telling you.
They're going to hang that on the...
They know. I say it all the time. I say it to the AD. I mean, you've got so much going on there. 81, 87.
Ohio State trailed for 23 seconds in this game. Pretty good all-around performance by the Buckeyes.
I thought Indiana came out sluggish, and I thought Ohio State took advantage.
Final 31 minutes, Indiana could never get it under 10. That's how consistent the Buckeyes were. That offensive rebound will do it.
10-1 Ohio State.
10-1 in Big Ten play. Nobody other than maybe one guy saw that coming.
Not two. My son saw it coming as well, and I guarantee if you talk to Keita Bates Diop's dad, he saw it too. Dads are clairvoyant.
Well, Chris Holtman's doing a heck of a job. He's got a team that is bought in. He's got a superstar player that even when he doesn't score big, does a lot of things for his team.
4 blocks. I thought in the first 5 possessions of the game, he set the tone defensively, being in the right spot, taking things away. Look, it's going to go down to the wire. Vince Edwards has been terrific. Miles Bridges, fine. Carson Edwards, great. But this kid, Keita Bates Diop, I think is the player of the year, and he showed it again tonight.
And how about for the Hoosiers? Starters in the second half, add it all up, 6 points total from your starting 5.
And everybody in Indiana knows, as Indiana goes, Robert Johnson goes. Or as Robert Johnson goes, Indiana goes. And Robert Johnson just didn't have anything going tonight, whether outside, inside, and really in terms of effort, he was a no-show. And Indiana is not equipped for a no-show at this point in Archie Miller's career as the head coach.
Eventually that will change. Right
I
now,
think so.
the Hoosiers are a little shorthanded, and Ohio State exposed it. 71-56. Time to send it back to studio from here in Columbus.
All right, Flem, thank you very much.